You are welcome to this class. This is a continuation of our discussion on clause. So in this class, we are going to look at noun clause. Noun clause. I said in the previous class that we have two types of clauses. We have a dependent clause and we have independent clause. The dependent clause is also called a subordinate clause, while the independent clause is called the main clause. Now, the dependent clause is made up of three types. We have noun dependent clause, adjectival dependent clause, and adverbial dependent clause. I say that we have three types of dependent clauses. Dependent clause, dependent clause. We have three types of it. One, noun dependent clause, or what we simply call noun clause. Noun clause. We have another one we call adjectival dependent clause, or what we simply call adjectival clause. Adjectival clause. And we have another one we call adverbial dependent clause, or what we simply call adverbial clause. Number 3, adverbial clause. So these are the three types of dependent clauses that we have: noun clause, or noun dependent clause, adjectival clause, also called adjectival dependent clause, and adverbial clause, also called adverbial dependent clause. Now let's look at noun clause or noun dependent clause. Noun clause. A noun clause is defined as a dependent clause that acts as a noun in a sentence. This is a dependent clause. A dependent clause that acts as a noun in a sentence. Now, if anything is acting as a noun, we know that it can also be replaced with a pronoun or an appropriate pronoun, and it will still retain its meaning. Therefore, to test whether a given clause is a noun clause in a sentence, we can remove the clause and replace it with what we think is the appropriate pronoun. If it still retains its meaning, if the sentence still retains its meaning, then we know that it is a noun clause. So that is how to test a noun clause in a sentence. Now, a noun clause can be the subject or the object in a sentence, just like the noun can be the subject or the object in a sentence. Therefore, because it acts as a subject or the object in a sentence, a noun clause always comes in between a verb, because the word order in most sentences follows SVO, SVO, that is subject, verb, object. Subject, verb, object. And we have said that a noun clause can take the position of a subject and can also take the position of a verb in a simple sentence, which means that the only thing that always comes between the noun clause in a sentence is a verb. So it is either coming before a verb or it is coming immediately after a verb in most sentences. That is not in all sentences. In most sentences, this is the order. It is either coming immediately after a verb or before a verb, following the SVO arrangement of words in a simple sentence. Now, a noun clause are identified with certain words which we call noun clause markers. Noun clause markers. Noun clause markers. Markers. These are the things or the words that when we see them in a sentence, we begin to suspect that whatever carries it is a noun clause. I list them here: how, that, what, whatever, whenever, who, when, whether, which, whichever, whoever, and why. And why. So these are the words that should always be on the lookout for if we want to identify a noun clause in a sentence. For example, take this example. Example 1. Whatever he does concerns him. Whatever he does concerns him. Now, if this word is marked off, whatever he does concerns him, and you are asked to identify this group of words or this cluster of words, whatever he does. Now, this group of words is introduced by whatever, so we begin to suspect a noun clause. Now, we check whether it is actually a clause or not by identifying whether it has a subject and a verb, because we defined a clause as a group of words or a cluster of words with a subject and a verb. So looking at the words, it has he, which is a subject, and does, which is a verb. So it is a clause, and because it is being introduced by whatever, which is a marker for noun clause, we now know that this is a noun clause, or we now suspect that it is a noun clause. So how do we test that it is a noun clause? We can now remove this whatever he does and try to put an appropriate pronoun there and check whether the sentence still retains its meaning. Okay, we can put it concerns him. If you put it, which is a pronoun, and say concerns him, it still makes sense. The sentence still makes sense. It concerns him. Therefore, this part of the sentence is a noun clause because we have identified it as a noun clause using a pronoun to test whether it still retains the same meaning or not. Now, the role that this group of words plays in this sentence is a subject. It plays the subject of the verb concerns. Following the SVO order, the subject, whatever he does, then concerns is a verb, and then this one is the object. So it is acting as the subject of the verb concerns. Example 2. Example 2. How he survived the accident. How he survived the accident is a miracle. If we mark off this group of words, how he survived the accident, and we are asked to identify it. Now, looking at this group of words, it is coming immediately before a verb is. It is coming before the word is. Nothing separates it from the word is. Therefore, we are suspecting a noun clause because we have said that a noun clause is coming before a verb or immediately after a verb. Then another thing that we have to check is it has how. How usually introduces a noun clause. So it is another indication that we are dealing with a noun clause. Then we now ask ourselves whether it is actually a clause or not. How do we know that it is a clause or not? It is a clause when it contains a subject and a verb. He survived. He is a subject and survived is a noun. Therefore, it is really a clause. So, and having this how and coming immediately before a verb, this shows that it is a noun clause. And now we can also test it with an appropriate pronoun to see whether it will still retain the same meaning. It is a miracle. It is a miracle. It is now your duty to ask, what is the miracle? So that the person will now explain further that he survived an accident. Therefore, this word still retains the same meaning. It is a miracle. When we put an appropriate pronoun, it still retains the same meaning. Therefore, this how he survived the accident is a noun clause. We have confirmed that it is a noun clause. Now, what is the duty of this noun clause in this sentence? We use our SVO Now we can go to another example. Example 3. Example 3. Okay. I've not explained the function of this noun clause here. When we use our SVO, we have subjects followed by a verb and then an object. The verb is. How he survived the accident. So this is the subject in the sentence. The noun clause is acting as a subject in the sentence. Example 3. Example 3. What he said is true. What he said is true. If we mark off this part of the sentence, what he said, and we are asked to identify it, what he said is true. This part of the sentence is coming immediately before is. So we begin to suspect a noun clause. Now it starts with what, which is part of the noun clause markers. So our suspicion becomes stronger. Now we check whether it has a subject and a verb. He said. He is a subject and said is a verb. Now we confirm that it is a clause. Now to confirm that it is a noun clause, we can find an appropriate pronoun to replace the whole clause and see if the sentence still maintains its meaning. It is true. It is true. Putting it in the sentence or using it to replace the clause does not change the meaning of the sentence or does not make the sentence to be incomplete. Therefore, we now confirm that the clause is a noun clause. Now, what is the function of the noun clause in the sentence? We still put our SVO since this is a simple sentence. The subject comes followed by the verb and then the object. Now this noun clause is coming immediately before a verb. That means that it is acting as a subject in the sentence. It is acting as a subject in the sentence. Example 4. Example 4. Whatever he did, whatever he did, whatever he did, or sorry, whoever did this is wicked, is wicked. We can mark off this part of the sentence. Whoever did this is wicked. If we are asked to identify this part of the sentence, by being introduced with whoever, our mind will go to noun clause. Now we confirm whether it is a clause or not by checking whether it has a subject and okay, we confirm whether it has a subject and a verb. Now it has a subject. The subject is this and the verb is did. So it has both the subject and the verb. So we have confirmed that it is a clause. And because it is being introduced by the word whoever, we are suspecting that it is a noun clause. And now that you know that this is a verb, it is coming immediately before a verb, so we confirm that it is a noun clause. To test it, to test our confirmation, we can try to replace the word with an appropriate pronoun. He is wicked, or she is wicked. Now it is now the duty of the person hearing this to ask you, what makes the person wicked? You say that the person did something and that makes the person wicked. So whoever did this is wicked. So if we put he or she in the sentence, it does not destroy the meaning of the sentence. Therefore, we have confirmed that the sentence or that the group of words there is a noun clause. Now, what is the function of this group of words or this noun clause in the sentence? It is coming before a noun, following SVO. It is the subject in the sentence. Example 5. Example 5. My major concern is how to get out of here. How to get out of here. My major concern is how to get out of here. How to get out of here. Now this is another form. How to get out of here. Is this a clause? That is the first thing we'll ask ourselves. How to get out of here. Does it contain a subject? Yes. What is the subject? Here. Does it contain a verb? Yes. What is the subject? Get. Or get out of. Or get out. The subject is get. The verb is get here. So it contains both the subject and the verb. So we know that this is a clause. Is it a noun clause? It is coming immediately after a verb. So we suspect a verb. We suspect a noun clause because it is coming immediately after a verb. Now we test whether it retains its meaning. The sentence retains its meaning when we replace this group of words with an appropriate pronoun. My major concern is that what is that? How to get out of here? Somebody could ask you, what is your major concern? You say, my major concern is that. Because I've been saying something, how to get out of here. So putting a pronoun there makes it still retains the same meaning in the sentence. Therefore, we say that this is a noun clause. It follows when we put SVO, as a simple sentence. This is coming immediately after a verb. This is acting as an object in the sentence. The noun clause here is acting as an object in the sentence. Number 6, example number 6. Example number 6. Example 6. Always thank whoever helps you. Always thank whoever helps you. If you mark off this part of the sentence, whoever helps you, always thank whoever helps you. And you are asked to identify it. It is being introduced by whoever, which is part of the noun clause markers. We begin to suspect a noun clause. We now confirm whether it is a clause or not by identifying whether it has both subject and a verb. It must have a subject and a verb. You is a subject and helps is a verb. Therefore, we confirm that it is a clause. Now, it is coming immediately after a verb thank. Therefore, we can now confirm that it is a noun clause. We can replace the whole group of words with an appropriate pronoun to see if it still has its meaning. Always thank him or always thank her. If we put him or her in the sentence, it does not destroy the meaning of the sentence. Therefore, we know that this is a noun clause. We have confirmed that it is a noun clause. So what is the function of this noun clause in the sentence? If we use SVO, this is coming immediately after a verb. We can say that this is the object in the sentence. this is this is acting as the object in the sentence. Okay, so we have looked at examples of noun clauses. We can now identify a noun clause in a sentence. We now know the meaning of a noun clause, and we now know the types of dependent clauses. We say that we have three types of dependent clauses. Noun dependent clause or the noun clause, adjectival dependent clause or adjectival clause, and adverbial dependent clause or adverbial clause. And we talk about noun clause, which we said that a noun clause is a clause that acts as a noun in a sentence. And by acting as a noun, it is playing the function of a subject or an object in a sentence. And we know that when a noun is playing an object, the function of an object or a subject in a sentence, noun can always be replaced with an appropriate pronoun. So we always use or find an appropriate pronoun to test whether a noun clause is actually a noun clause or not. And we gave some markers that will tell us or that will indicate whether a clause is a noun clause or another type of a clause, which we mentioned things like that, how, which, whether, whoever, whom, whoever, why, and so many other ones. And we now gave examples of noun clauses in different sentences, identifying why they are noun clauses in the sentence and the role they perform in the sentences. So this is the much we can take in this class.